All right, back on the Young Turks. Now we're going to turn to Adam Green. He's the founder of Progressive Change Campaign Committee. Now, we talk to these guys fairly often. Why? Because they're the ones out there kicking ass and taking names. So, Adam, welcome back to the Young Turks.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now you're going after Max Baucus, from what I understand.
Yep, it's time.
It's time. All right. So before we do anything else, let's watch the ad that the PCCC, along with Democracy for America, that's the Dean Group, put together against Max Baucus running in Montana. Let's watch.
My name is Bing Perrin, and I live here in Billings, Montana, with my beautiful wife and baby boy. Last June, I collapsed because of congenital heart problems. I need open heart surgery, but have no insurance, and no company will insure me. My friends and family have been a blessing. With hearts as big as the Montana sky, they have helped with bake sales and benefits. But my wife and I still owe over $100,000 in medical bills. None of this debt would have piled up if I had had the option of buying into a public health insurance plan. Private insurance companies need competition. They profit by denying care to people like me. Senator Baucus, when you take millions of dollars from health and insurance interests that oppose reform, and oppose giving families like mine the choice of a public option, I have to ask, whose side are you on?
The Progressive Change Campaign Committee and Democracy for America are responsible for the content of this advertising.
Booyah. That's how you go get them. All right, now, Adam, why go after Max Baucus now?
Well, why now? Because the Senate Finance Committee is voting this week on amendments to Max Baucus' bill that will be offering the public option. And Max Baucus is the chairman of the committee and is playing a pretty pivotal role. Also, his own constituents want the public option, so we figured it was time to make him come face-to-face with some of his constituents and hopefully pressure him to do the right thing.
Adam, how do you know his constituents want a public option?
Well, there was a poll done a few weeks ago, Research 2000, and it actually showed that 47% of his constituents wanted it, 43% opposed it, 10% were undecided. And that was in a ruby red state like Montana. One thing that I actually found really fascinating was a new New York Times poll on Friday that showed 72% of Americans, including 50% of Republicans, want this public option. So, Max Baucus really should be accountable to those that he's representing. And if he's the chairman of this national committee, he should also be accountable to the American public at large.
I thought that New York Times CBS News poll said it was 65% that wanted the public option.
Overall?
Yeah.
I think it said 72%.
All right.
The link right now.
Either way, it's a very large number. Let me share one encouraging thing with you, Adam. I was reading an Associated Press article today on Olympia Snowe and how some people are calling her President Snow and how powerful she is. But within that article, they had her interacting with somebody from Maine, and the person said, hey, we want the public option. We even want single payer. And she said, well, not all of you want the public option, referring to Maine. And then the writer at the Associated Press said, Olympia Snowe holds a minority position in America and in her own state against the public option.
Yes, if you're asking, do I take credit for that? I do. I'm not sure the Associated Press actually talked to anybody from our team, but that was the entire point of our ad last week, targeting Olympia Snowe. She is totally out of step with her own constituents. The most recent poll there shows that by a 2-to-1 margin, Maine people want the public option, 3-to-1 among independent voters. And the fact that she said to that person, not everyone supports it, I don't know, it just shows how completely out of touch she is.
No, I'll tell you what, though, Adam, that is a big accomplishment. I don't know if it was, just PCCC and Democracy for America and these ads that you guys have been running, but it's certainly a part of the reason why. And for the Associated Press to actually flat out say that someone who's against the public option is in a significant minority in their own state and throughout the country. I mean, one, it's entirely true. Yep. And two, it's shocking. How did they write something so true?
It's a great point. I definitely noticed it. I don't think I got the true gravity of it until right now, you saying it.
Right. Now,
well done. Thank you.
So now that seemed to have worked at least a little bit in Maine. You go after Max Baucus, who's a Democrat. Does that cause any repercussions? Does anybody from the White House or any other progressive group come over to you guys or the Democracy for America guys and go, whoa, now let's take it easy?
They haven't contacted us. I think given the fact that we also at one point ran a New York Times ad pressuring Obama, they know that we're probably not going to listen to them. But, you hear every once in a while Rahm Emanuel pops his head up and starts trashing, progressive groups that are going after Democrats. I don't get that unless it's totally a game, and they actually get why we're doing it. I would fully expect them to embrace us putting pressure on folks like Olympia Snowe and Max Baucus. It totally should fit into their negotiation strategy, assuming they have one.
Right, or assuming that they actually want things to get done, like the strong public option. And that is not a fair assumption, because by all reporting, it seems to indicate that they largely agree with Baucus's bill, which is one of the central problems in the first place, and why they wouldn't come to you, because they know you're against that. So let me understand the mechanics of this a little bit better. So how do you find the money to run these ads? How much money do you need to run how many ads in Montana? How does that work?
Yeah. So, well, first, where do we get the money? We have this website up, healthcarecan'twait.com. It's kind of the hub where our Baucus ad is, our Snow ad is, and our previous ads are. And this ad is actually amazing. In just 7 hours, we've raised $58,000 toward our goal of $100,000. Again, that's healthcarecan'twait.com for those that are interested. And in Montana, it's actually fairly cheap to run TV ads. It's probably not a surprising fact, but we're essentially able to buy the morning news program, the early evening news program, and the late 11 o'clock news program on every station in 4 major media markets, day after day after day, for the amount of money that we're raising. We want to make sure that when Max Baucus' staffers watch the local news, they see this. Other Politico people, watch the news, they see this. And we're also going to air some of the, some time in Washington, D.C. to make sure that political insiders here see it. So, it probably wouldn't be the same thing if we were targeting, say, a Dianne Feinstein, where the L.A. media market would just consume this money in an instant. Well, there's in a place like Montana, it goes a long way.
We're talking to Adam Green. He's the founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. There's a great irony there, because the fact that they're from small states allows lobbyists to buy people like Max Baucus easier, but it also allows you guys to target them easier, because it buys so much more airtime. If you raise $100,000 through the website, how many ads can you run? Like you said, you morning news, evening news locally in Montana. In how many cities for how many days, roughly?
Right. It's definitely, there's a difference between buying it on broadcast TV and cable. If we were just buying on cable like CNN and MSNBC, $100,000 would buy thousands of ads. Given that we've made the decision to do it on broadcast TV, which is more expensive, it'll probably be in the high hundreds. And again, our main goal is to make sure that every single news show is covered with these ads, to make sure that those who are most prone to be following this issue are seeing it.
All right, Adam, one more thing. How do you find a guy like Bing?
We had us in Democracy for America emailed our list and asked them to go to our website and tell us their story. And hundreds and hundreds of people from many states told their stories. And we then had a vetting process where we read them over, essentially ranked stories, figured out which ones would be the promising one. And then we called those that looked most promising. One of the people on our staff, Max Berger, was the first to call Bing and said, this guy is amazing. And then we kind of had follow-up conversations, and that's how things went. And we have people from other states as well, including the state of Nevada, hint, hint, coming up. And it's time, again, to make these politicians come face-to-face with their constituents. It's easy for them to write off, a big out-of-state group doing a consultant-driven fluffy ad. But when they actually have to face their constituents and answer to them, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and it's now on the bad side of the ledger in terms of the press. Wall Street Journal had an article about how Harry Reid's in a lot of trouble in Nevada in the poll numbers. And then, without any facts at all, they said it's because he's too liberal.
Right, it's crazy.
But there was no polling to indicate that, nothing. They just threw that out there as if it's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we go, let me just get one thing out there. So in the next couple days before the September 30th fundraising deadline, a lot of your listeners will get fundraising requests from groups like the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and maybe folks like Harry Reid asking for money. And it would be an entirely appropriate response to push reply and say, I will not give you money again until Senate Democrats pass a public option. And if you were thinking about giving money, well, go to healthcarecan'twait.com and help us pressure these Democrats. But it's time for Democrats to assert, progressive Democrats to assert our leverage, assert our role in the political online fundraising marketplace, and vote with our dollars. And between now and September 30th, when there's this big fundraising crunch, this is the time to do it.
Well, money talks, and if you want the public option, then you put your money behind it, and that will do a lot of talking in politics. All right, Adam Green from PCCC, thanks for joining us on the Young Turks.
Yep, take care.
All right, Young Turks.